Hello there, I'm Simon. Welcome to my channel. Today's topic is a book, my favorite book, this one. So, before I nerd out about it, let's get the credentials out of the way. Deal? Deal. So, it's called Shogun, and it was written by James Clavell. It was published in 1975, and it was the third of a six-part series the guy wrote about Asia. Now, I haven't actually read the other books in the series, but they're all set over 200 years after the events of Shogun, so it doesn't seem to really matter. Like, it works perfectly as a standalone book. Anyway, the book was later adapted into a 4-episode series starring Richard Chamberlain as John Blackthorne. Now, maybe it's because the series' total runtime is like twice as long as your average movie, but this is pretty much the best film adaptation of a book that I have ever seen. Honestly, modern Hollywood can learn a thing or two from this. In 1990, it was also adapted into a Broadway musical, which I'm honestly not sure is the best medium to tell this story, but hey, what do I know? Unfortunately, the production closed in 1991, which is like 4 years before I was even a thing, and as far as I know, it was never filmed or anything. So I haven't been able to see it, and I most likely probably never will. Which is a shame, because I do like musicals. Oh, they also made 3 games of it that I never played. Let's get to the book itself, shall we? Oh, spoilers ahead, obviously. So, the story kicks off in the year of our Lord 1600. A Dutch ship by the name of Erasmus was sent to the New World to go attack Spanish ships there. Because in those days the Dutch Republic and Spain were at war. So they sent pirates over to go annoy them. Kinda like Sir Francis Drake, but Dutch. Mostly. Because on board is also an Englishman called John Blackthorne. He is the pilot, which is like the navigator of the ship. Now, when the book starts, the Erasmus is actually already past the New World and has moved on to try and find its way to Asia. Why, you ask? Well, Blackthorne has heard of a land called the Japans, and he wants to find it. Alternatively, he hopes to maybe find the kingdom of the legendary king priest John. Well, that, and they also just can't really go back, because the Spanish would destroy them. Unfortunately, though, they hadn't actually planned for this, and so famine and scurvy are threatening the entire ship. And then a storm hits the ship, and before you know it, Blackthorne is waking up in a home he doesn't know, with people taking care of him, speaking a language he doesn't understand, and he's alone. The rest of the crew has vanished. Turns out he's arrived in Japan. The Erasmus is still intact, and most of the crew, or what was left of the crew after the famine and stuff, is also there in captivity. The Japanese call him Anjin, which is just their word for pilot, because they can't actually say his real name. The rest of the book follows Blackthorne as he tries to understand the Japanese and tries to maneuver his way through this new world, hoping to, in the end, be allowed to return home with his ship and his crew. One of the things I love about this book is that it shows how Blackthorne thinks of the Japanese as barbarians, while at the same time, it also shows the Japanese also considering Blackthorne to be a barbarian, at least in the beginning. Because as time progresses, Blackthorn becomes more and more integrated into the Japanese world. He goes on to be named Hatamoto, which basically means he's now a vassal or retainer by the feudal lord Toranaga. He basically becomes a samurai. He then spends the remainder of the book adjusting to his new role and helping out in the war Toranaga has started, hoping to become Shogun. Now, Shogun is not only the title of the book, by the way. It is also the title for the highest military leader in Japan, who at this point in time would hold the actual power. In case you're wondering, there is an emperor, but it's not much more than a title. Here's the coolest bit. This actually happened. Sort of. Here's the thing. The tale of John Blackthorn is based on that of the real-life sailor called William Adams, who we actually know quite a lot about because he wrote a lot of letters. Now, we don't actually know for sure what he looked like because no contemporary portraits survive, but he probably didn't look like Geralt of Rivia. Adams left in 1598 with a Dutch fleet of 5 ships. Are 5 ships called a fleet? I don't know. Also on board was his brother. And you know what his brother was called? I'll give you 3 guesses. Come on. It's the most common English name ever. Thomas. William and Thomas. Because English parents in the 1500s had no imagination. Anyway, they left in 1598 with a small fleet. The ships all had very Dutch names, which does make sense. I mean, they are Dutch. But the important one here is the liefde, which means love, because it actually used to be called the Erasmus. It was called that because it had a wooden image of Erasmus, this guy, on the back. Now, different from the book, they weren't actually pirates. They were merchants. They were to sell their stuff in South America. Optionally, if they couldn't get silver there, they were to continue to Japan to get silver there. They liked silver. And lo and behold, in the end, only the liefde got to Japan. Similar to the book, a Jesuit priest accused them of being pirates, which of course they denied. Difference is that in reality, they really were not pirates. Kind of like the Chudley Cannons. After being questioned by Tokugawa Ieyasu, the real-life Toranaga, they were not in fact executed and instead started working with Ieyasu. The liefde ended up sinking due to her age, but Adams did help Ieyasu build some Western-style ships. Adams became one of Ieyasu's advisors and did, after a while, become Hatamoto. He was now essentially a samurai. At this point, Ieyasu stated that William Adams had died, and the samurai Miura Anjin was born. Miura Anjin later continued to play a part in trading relationships between Japan and Europe. And in the end, William Adams died in 1620. Shogun is my favorite book, not just because it basically actually happened, but also because it is an outsider's view into Japanese culture, showing how they look at each other and how and why history actually unfolded itself the way it did. I love how it tells the personal story of Blackthorn and ties it into the bigger history of not just Japan, but kind of the world. And the style and form in which the book is written really just complements that marriage pretty perfectly. Obviously, we shouldn't take this as actual history, because it's still a novel, a fiction, written by a white dude. But if nothing else, one should take this book as a starting point to start uncovering the real history. And there's also plenty of action and romance in this book. I mean, it's set in feudal Japan. What do you expect? Anyway, I think I've about said all that I can say about this for now. Time for the YouTube thing. You know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe, etc. Oh, one more thing before I go. What is your favorite book and why? Let me know down below. Alright, that'll do. Thanks for watching.